Hi guys, buenos dias. How are you?
Hola.
Hola, good
Okay,
morning.
good guys. Good that you're all here. Good that real quick, let's see if Armando is here. Armando, you here?
Present. I'm
Okay.
here.
Janet, are you here?
Aquí.
Hola, Janet.
Hola.
Agustina?
Here.
Okay, Agustina is here. So we have a full house. All right, guys. So I know today is early release. It's almost time to crunch for the FSA. So we are going to crunch for the FSA. We're going to do the geometry. Today, we're going to go and review circles. We already reviewed circles, so that should be a little bit more review for you. So, para Janet, acuérdate que esto es un repaso única y exclusivamente para los círculos, como ya viene el FSA. ¿Está bien?
Está bien.
Okay, everyone's
Gracias.
good? Okay, no problema. Okay, so vamos a repasarlo hoy. So voy a compartir. I'm going to record, and I'm going to share my screen so you guys can have that. Let's go and share my screen. Okay, so everybody can see my screen?
Sí.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. So, guys, let's talk about circles. Let's review circles as we reviewed before. So, hablemos sobre los círculos, okay? So, what do we know about circles, guys?
They're 360 degrees.
Okay, there's
Es
three.
redondo.
Es redondo, okay. Anybody else?
Doesn't have any equal sides.
Okay, it doesn't have any equal sides. Very good, very good. Okay, so we already know that. So let's go over some vocabulary that we're going to encounter when we look at circles. So we're going to look and talk about what a circle is, lo que es un círculo. We're going to go over what radius is, lo que es un radio. And we're going to go in between what a diameter is, lo que es un diámetro. Where we're going to review what a circumference is, lo que es circunferencia. So if you guys want to look at your notes, you guys should have the review notes ready for that. And we're going to look at, again, pi, the ratio between circumference to diameter, which is known as pi in Spanish. And finally, we're going to review the area of a circle, which is like an area of any other shape, área de un círculo. Okay? ¿Todo el mundo bien?
Sí.
Okay, everybody's good. Stop me if you guys have any questions before we continue, okay? Okay, so what is a circle? So remember, guys, what we know about circles? Remember that circles are a set of all points that are equal distance from one particular point known as the center of a circle. So we know I have the center of the circle right here, and then just a circle is just a set of all points around a specific area or a specific space. We already know that. We already know that also as we name angles, we name circles. So circles have feelings just like angles have feelings, but the way that we name a circle is that we name it exclusively based on the center. So we exclusively name this circle since the center is labeled as O. We label this circle as O. So this is circle. What is a circle, guys?
Oh.
Oh, very good, Jana. Very good. Perfect. So circle by no means is like any other polygon. It is a little different. Some other polygons have little edges. Remember that, guys. It does not have any equal sides. Just like Agustina said, they do not have any sides and they do not have any edges. So that's the reason why it's not like any other polygon. Can I move on?
Sí.
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Let's move on. Okay, so let's look at some properties of a circle. So we've talked about how a circle is the set of all points that are equal distance from the center. You already know that. Now, that particular distance, remember that we called it as the radius of the circle. So it doesn't matter where we draw the radius. If you guys can see here, as I'm showing you, the radius of a circle, pretend that this is a circle. Now, when we pretend that this is a circle, we look at the radiuses that it's that distance from any set of the point to the center, or from the center to any set of the points in the circle itself. Now, it doesn't matter where we draw the radius from. This is called the radius. It doesn't matter where we draw the radius from. It's going to be the same distance. So if we draw it from here, it's going to be 3 centimeters. If we draw it from here, it's going to be 3 centimeters. If we draw it from here, it's 3 centimeters. And if we draw it from here, it's 3 centimeters. So everybody get that? Does anybody have any questions?
No questions.
No questions? Everyone is okay? So we can move on a little bit to
Todo bien.
Do you have the question?
No.
Okay, perfect. No problem. So we're going to talk a little bit about the diameter. So when we want to look up how fat a circle is, because the circle likes to eat a lot, it goes a lot to Burger King. We want to talk about the diameter. So the diameter is, like I said, how fat, or we're going to look at it in more technical terms, how wide the circle is. So typically, since we're looking how wide it is, we're going to look at from one end of the circle to the other end of the circle. We already know that. So since it's one end to the circle and one end to the circle, it's like drawing two radii. So it's like drawing two radii, two radiuses, o dos radios, como dibujar dos radios por lo que es, porque es lo gordo o lo ancho que es el círculo. ¿Entendiste, Janet?
Sí.
Ok, perfecto. Janet, déjame saber si tienes algunas preguntitas. So when we look at the diameter being that, we look at it from the edge to the edge. And since that is exclusively known as two radii, in order to find what the diameter of a circle is, we just go and say the diameter is equal to 2 times the radius. Everyone good?
Ah, ok.
¿Ya entendí?
Ya entendí.
Yes, we understand.
Le voy a hacer un poquito,
We're good.
le voy a hacer un repasito ahora un momentico, le voy a enseñar un ejemplo, ¿ok? No problem.
Ok.
So example number 1, the radius of a circle is 8 centimeters. Now what is the diameter of the circle in centimeters?
16.
16. ¿Quieres explicarme por qué 16, Janet?
Porque el 8 es 8 más 8 es 16.
Exacto. Y es como yo había explicado. El diámetro es como doble del radio, es double the radius. So, para encontrar el diámetro, queremos decir es 2 por R, or diameter is equal to 2 times R. So we have a radius of 8 centimeters. Our diameter is going to be 2 times 8, which is just diameter is equal to 16, and we cannot forget our units. Remember that is very important when we do the FSA. Centimeters. Everyone got that?
¿Y eso no va a estar ahí en las respuestas? ¿O yo tengo que ponerla?
Eso va a estar ahí en la respuesta. So, algunas veces cuando te dan una prueba de multiple choice, va a estar ahí en la prueba. Pero si en casualidad te da un fill in the blank, que tú sabes cómo es el FSA, tienes que hacerlo así. Tienes que ponerlo así. No se te puede olvidar las unidades. ¿Está bien?
Sí.
Las unidades son bien importantes porque si no, la gente del FSA te pueden quitar puntos.
Ok.
Okay, so remember, if you have a fill in the blank, guys, you have to put the units, because if you don't put the units, you can get some points off, okay? Don't forget.
Mr. Paluche, I have a question.
Yes, what is it, Armando?
When the FSA, are they going to give us a reference sheet?
Yes, you guys will typically have the reference sheet on the test, especially for Janet. People like Janet, students that like Janet will have also a reference sheet. But I want to guide you guys and exclusively warn you that just in case, if you don't get this, I want you guys to understand what the relationship is, just in case you get a question that is outside of what the reference sheet shows you. You get me?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to the lesson. Remember that this is exclusively review. You guys already know this. You guys are doing great. I'm so proud of you guys. So just like Janet was saying, it is 16, guys. Now, let's go around in circles. So very similar. We looked already the distances within the circle, which is the radius and the diameter. We also want to look at the distance around the circle. So let's go back to my little plate here. So the circle, remember, we have everything, the set of all points right here. Now, we don't only want to talk about what's in the circle itself. We want to talk about everything that's around the circle. So think about this as the outside of the circle, which is the distance around the circle. You guys already know that that is known as the circumference. Or like if you want to have a more technical term to distance, you can talk about it as the perimeter of the circle. So the perimeter, el perímetro del círculo es conocido como la circunferencia. Does everybody get that so far?
Yes.
Okay, so let's move on. Now there is a ratio that we already know between the circumference and the diameter, which is known as pi. And pi is just equal to 3.14. You know, pi goes on forever. You guys will normally have this on the test. So when you guys go into the test and take the FSA, when you get that pi, it's going to tell you pi is either equal to 3.14 or it's going to be equal to 22/7. So you guys can have an idea of what pi is. You guys will get it in the reference sheet. Now remember, in order to find out how do we get the formula of the circumference, you guys are going to get this in the test. But since pi is the ratio of circumference to the diameter, It's like saying circumference divided by the diameter. That's what pi is. So let me show you guys, as I said right here. Let me stop the share real quick and show you. So circumference divided by the diameter is equal to pi. Now, to algebraically manipulate this, we want to go right ahead and say, okay, how do I get this d out of here? Because we want that guy out of here in order to find out what circumference is. Well, since it's being divided here, we're going to multiply it by it. So we multiply by d, and we multiply by d on both sides. These d's cancel out, and we're left with circumference is equal to pi times the diameter. And that's how you find circumference. Pi times the diameter. Okay? Another way that we can notice what pi is, or what the circumference is, excuse me, is that since the diameter, remember, is just equal to 2 times r, or 2 times the radius, we could also write the formula of circumference by circumference is equal to 2 times pi r, because we just replaced the diameter for the 2 times r, so we write circumference equals 2 times r. You normally get both of these formulas for the FSA, but I just wanted to show you guys a little quick lesson on why it works that way and how do we actually get the formula for circumference based on the relationship between the circumference and the diameter. Does everybody get that?
Yes.
Okay, so let's share my screen again. So let's show another example. So example number 2, we're gonna find the circumference of this circle. So remember, you can express this as in terms of pi, so you can get the number and then you can just put number and the pi, and you can get that and do that sometimes in the test when it gives you find an exact answer, okay? So if we have a radius of 6 centimeters, remember that to find the circumference, we need to say circumference is equal to pi times the diameter. You get me? Circumference is equal to pi times the diameter. We have to find out what the diameter of the circle is. So if we have a radius of 6 centimeters, what is the diameter of the circle?
12.
12. Okay, so we have the diameter of 12. Now we want to find the circumference. We can say circumference is equal to pi times the diameter. So since the diameter is 12, we can say that the circumference of this circle is equal to 12 pi. Or what we can do is, since we already know that pi is equal to 3.14, we can multiply 3.14 times 12. And whatever that gives us in the calculator, that can also be the answer. You guys get it?
Yes.
So when we go over here, we can say solution is 12 pi. Now, when they say solution is 12 pi, this is typically, oh, sorry. Let me go back. The solution is 12 pi. Then that just basically means that this is the exact answer for your question. Now, if you want to round it off to an actual number, then you can say 12 times 3.14 is about 37.68. And you can just round it off to 38. Does everybody get that?
Yeah, I have a question about that. Is it going to tell us on the test that to round to the nearest tenth?
Yes.
Or is it going to be the nearest hundredth?
So typically in some, good question, Armando, typically in some portions of the exam, if the question says find the exact answer you're looking for is 12 pi. You get me? And you just leave it as 12 pi. Now, if it tells you round it off, give me the whole number, round it off to the next number. So if it's 37.68, then just round it off to the next whole number, which is 38. Or round it off, to, as you said, to the tens place. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
Okay, any other questions before we continue, guys?
No.
No, everybody's good? Okay. So let's go right ahead. So, stay in your area. Okay, so the area of a circle is defined as the amount of space that the circle covers. So we're looking back at what's inside the circle, guys. So very similar to what I said, that the circumference is just basically everything that's around the circle. So outside of the circle, but around the circle, the area is going to be everything that the circle covers. So this is what the plate or my artistic creation for the area looks like. It's just going to be everything within the circle. You get me? So it's just going to be, imagine I took a Sharpie and that's exactly what I did. I took a Sharpie and I started coloring in everything that's inside the circle, that big space around the circle. That's what the area is. Just like any other area, an area of the rectangle is the same thing. It's everything that's inside that rectangle. An area of a triangle, everything that's inside that triangle, okay? Now, the way that we find the area of the circle is using the formula. Area is equal to pi, so pi does not go anywhere. Remember, pi is important, times the radius. So in this case, we're dealing with the radius, not the diameter like in the circumference, times the radius squared. So we're raising the radius to the second power. Remember that when we raise something to the second power, it does not mean that we are multiplying by 2. We're just multiplying it by itself. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
Sí.
You guys have any questions?
No.
No.
Okay, we can continue. So when we look at any units, because the units are very important, for area of a circle, we need to express our things in squares. So if we have it in feet, we need to give our final answer as feet squared. If we have it in centimeters, we have to look at centimeters squared. If we have miles, we look at miles squared, etc., etc. Does that make sense?
How do you know if it's squared or cubed?
Okay, so that is a little bit of a different lesson when we go into starting talking about volume. So when we look at volume is the one that can be expressed as usually as cubed. Area of a circle is usually expressed as squared. You understand what I mean? Volume can also in some cases be explained as square, but typically volume is more directed to being cubed as to area being square. But that is actually a very, very good question, Armando. And I'm actually going to be covering with you guys that tomorrow when we look at the volumes of cross sections. Okay? You got that?
Yeah, I got it. Thank you, Mr. Palustre.
Okay, everybody have good? Everyone good?
Sí.
Okay, perfecto. So let's move on. Okay, so last example before we start doing our classroom activity. Now find the area of the circle shown. So you, like I said, you may express your solutions in terms of pi or use the value of pi and round off to the next whole number. So in this case, we have a circle that has a diameter of 24. And we know that to find the area, we gotta say pi times r squared. But we don't have a radius, we have a diameter. So what can we do, class, in order to find that radius?
Divided by 2.
We had to divide it by 2. Very good, Agostina. That's how we do it, because remember that radius is equal to 2, diameter is equal to 2r. Very good. So we just divide that by 2. So we say 24 divided by 2 is 12. And we work from that. Now recall that the formula for area of a circle is area is equal to pi times r squared. So we officially have our r, which is 12. But we must not forget that we must square it. So when we square 12, what do we end up with? We say 12 squared, remember, is 12 times 12. What do we end up with?
144.
144. Very good, Agostina. So Agostina's been paying attention. Now, in order to find the area of a circle and express our final result, we have 144 officially times the pi. So we can say that the area of this circle of 24 miles with a diameter of 24 miles is 144 pi. Or if you want to be a little bit more daring and multiply it by pi, we know that it is equal to 452 when we round it off to the either next integer or the nearest integer. And as I said before, area units are expressed in terms of squares. So since this is miles, we have miles squared. 452 miles squared. Are we good, guys, so far?
Yeah,
Yes.
we're good.
Okay,
Doing good so far.
does anybody have any questions?
No.
And nobody has any other questions? Okay, so since we don't have any questions, we're going to go to the next part of our lesson. We're going to watch a brain pop video. So who likes brain pop here?
I like brain pop.
We like brain
Love
pop.
it.
We watch a brain pop video on circles. So watching a brain pop video on circles, for Janet, I decided to go and get the resources for BrainPop ELL. And we are going to do a classroom activity that if we can't finish it completely after the classroom, or during our classroom time, because today is early release, we're going to do it as home learning. Okay, so for the BrainPop video, I'm going to be showing you guys the BrainPop video. We're going to watch this video, so make sure you pay attention. And then what we're going to do is that we're going to complete the quiz together. And it's going to be very similar to things that we did right now in the class with the examples. And it's going to ask similar questions. So it's going to be more like a refresher. Now, as terms of homework, because you guys are going to have homework, I'm going to give you guys these sheets that I posted on Google Classroom. So I've shared it on Google Classroom with you guys. And these sheets, what you're going to do is that you're going to pick 5 round objects. You can have your parents do this. If you bring it to me, I'm just going to go ahead and check it off to make sure you guys understand what circles are and circles and the measurements and the different kinds of things, and make sure that you guys understand the relationship between circumference and diameter and pi.
¿Puedo tirar una foto?
¿A qué a esto? ¿Quieres tirar una foto a esto?
No, a los objetos.
Sí, tírale una foto a los objetos si quieres. Entonces lo que vamos a hacer es que lo vamos a subir a Google Classroom, ¿ok?
Ok.
Entonces la cosita que vamos a hacer es que vamos a tener los artículos, tienen que ser artículos redondos. Van a escoger 5. Entonces entre los 5 artículos me van a...
¿Completamente redondo?
No tiene que ser completamente redondo, pero tiene que tener por lo menos una base redonda. So it has
Como
to
un plato.
base. It could be a plato, it could be
Una bola.
puede ser una bola, puede
Una
ser
bola de mi hermana.
la bola de tu hermana, puede ser una parte de arriba de un vaso. Si tienes un vaso de cristal, la parte de arriba que tú sabes que es medido, que es un círculo medido, lo mides así. O puede ser también, Janet, if you guys want this, la barriguita de tu papá. I know you guys like that joke.
Se puede usar un cilindro.
¿Un qué?
Un cilindro.
Sí.
A cylinder.
No, se puede usar un cilindro.
Like a cup.
Sí, claro, ¿cómo que no? Entonces lo que van a hacer cuando lo usen como con el vaso, lo que van a hacer con el cup is that you're going to measure the top portion. So where you drink from, that's the circular part. Or what you can do is that you can measure the base, which is the bottom of the cup. That's the circular portion too. You just measure around it. So in order to do that, you're going to measure it with a tape measure, or you can get a piece of yarn and a piece of string. And what you do after you grab that and you put it around, you can measure it with a ruler to find out what the circumference is. Does that make sense?
Sí.
Okay, so
Yes.
when you said that, you're also going to measure the diameter. So the diameter, remember, is just how wide the circle is. So it's from one point to the other, one end to the other, de punta a punta. Lo que tiene que hacer. El diámetro de punta a punta, la punta de la punta del objeto, ¿ok? So, con eso en mente, acuérdense que circumference divided by diameter, it gives you pi. So you have to also write down the ratio. Usually the ratio is going to be pi or very close to pi because every circle is similar. You get me? Every circle is going to end up having a ratio of 3.14. You guys got that?
Sí.
Yes.
So,
I got it.
pueden escribirme el objeto que usaron. Pueden usar fotos, so you can take a picture of it. You can draw the figure. Or what you can also do is that you can just write it down. And when you write it down, you can draw, you can take a picture of it and all that. Upload that to Google Classroom because I want to see what you guys did, okay? Treat it as a fun classroom project or a fun home learning project. But for now, we are going to review the BrainPop and we are going to look at the video on circles and complete the quiz, okay? Everyone follow?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to see
Everything
our
good.
little friend here with Moby. And once we go on from there, we are good. So class, let me break you off into your group so we can start doing the BrainPop video, all right? So let's do this. We're going to beat the FSA this year, right?
Woohoo!
All right, guys.
Yes.
Very good. All right. We are going to beat the FSA this year. So we got it. Let's do it.